This computer. Live now. Does it come up live? Okay, I think we should now. There's going to be a little bit of lag, but we should be live. Let's just check my screen. Are we live? It's saying we're live. Okay, let's go for it. Tech is not my forte at all. So good morning again if you joined me earlier, and good morning for the first time if you didn't. Just to quickly introduce myself, I'm Tina Wright. I'm a psychological therapist, mindfulness teacher, chronic pain and anxiety specialist, and also known as the brain pain botanist in some circles. So I'm here today, joined by Samantha-Jane, and we're going to have a bit of a chat about self-care as the first session of our self-care summit. Do remember to give us some thumbs up and some hearts if you're watching. And if you're watching on replay, please do put hashtag replay so we know who's seen it. And we can also answer any questions. So pop your comments and questions in the comments below, and we will come back to them and make sure you get your answers. So, hi Samantha, how are you?
I am good. I am so excited to be here and being part of your summit. Self-care is something that I am passionate about, so I am joyous that I'm being part of this.
Yes, it's such a big subject, isn't it, though? It's often hard for people to know where to start. So, do you want to give us a little bit of background into why you do what you do and what it is you do?
Yes, of course. So I am Sam, and I am at the moment the first and the only Habits of Happiness coach, hoping to train more in the next few years. And Habits of Happiness isn't just what I do, it's not my coaching, it's what I live and breathe. I live and breathe it every day, every moment. Everything is really about the habits of happiness and how it can shift and change your life. I'm absolutely passionate about helping people really increase their happiness and success in their life and their business, and also for them to become aware of the balance that they can have in their life as well. I am a speaker and a registered Anxiety UK therapist, a clinical hypnotherapist as well. I have many qualifications, which is in there: heart maths, mindfulness teacher, CPT, lots of different things. But the essential part is really helping people to integrate the science of happiness and coaching for them to be able to master their own habits for success and happiness. So that's me.
That sounds brilliant. So how did you get into doing what you're doing then? What was your inspiration to create the habits of happiness?
Well, I have to go back a good few years now for me, because originally, I've been self-employed, a business owner, an entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it, for, I feel old now, for over like 25 years. And the first business that I had, I was a trained holistic therapist, and then I also trained as a teacher, and also had a makeup artistry company. I changed in after I had my children. I changed into teaching and having a bespoke makeup company. And the reason I tell you this is because I loved what I did. I absolutely loved it. I did have a young family of both were kind of under 6, and I used to work most weekends to try and get them. I had a salon, and then I had all different things, and I was navigating all of this as we do as women, not really realizing that actually I wasn't in balance with myself. I didn't really realize that I wasn't putting myself first I wouldn't put myself anywhere, never mind first.
Yeah.
And yeah, honest, I didn't even realize that I was heading for burnout, to be honest. I kind of knew. I felt like I was on this roller coaster, hamster wheel, whatever you call it, freight train, that I was just doing. But my body was just slowly but surely, pain by pain, ignoring like the aches and pains, the headaches, the just one thing after another, leading up to January 2010. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah. And I woke up and I was completely paralyzed down one side. I was completely paralyzed down one side of my body. And yeah, and I thought it was a stroke at first. And it was very, very frightening, because I didn't really know what it was. And I hadn't really, you think the worst. Anyway, long story short, because we're only here for a short period of time, after weeks and months of MRI scans, they kind of give me this diagnosis of it being psychosomatic. So back then, I felt like it was just another word for saying I was a hypochondriac. To be honest, that's what I thought. I didn't even know the mind-body connection at all. And really, it wasn't until the last 7 years where all I've done is spent the last 7 years researching and getting the whole body connection around what we think, what we feel, what we do create together. Because what I didn't realize was psychosomatic means that it's physical symptoms that arises from, can be anything from the mental actual trauma that we have, but it could be the subtleties that we have within our systems. It could be toxins. It's so diverse and it's so individual, and it is personal, and it's the awareness of that I have really loved sharing with other people. It's not just one fits all, and I know you feel the same as that as well. But once I kind of realized that actually there was a reason behind it, then I started to just, honest, I was like a person obsessed by learning about how could your mind do all this, like create your body to just completely not be able to work, for it to actually cause it to break down, for it to have, well, you already know this anyway, but like joint pain, I feel like as if I'm getting 1,000 pains. Anyway, long story short, they ended up giving me lots of different diagnoses of fibromyalgia, lots of different things. And in my own way, I thought, this isn't the way that I'm supposed to live. I'm not supposed to live like this. I am not being put in this world to have this much pain and to just have this consistent like existence. So it was really strange. But in a way, I now know, because we have this part of our brain called the reticular activating system. When you say out loud, or when you start to think about something, it opens up, and it opens up knowledge for you to look and find new things. So I ended up training in all these different things, because essentially to get my health back into normality, to get me back into balance, essentially, so that I could live, because I had 2 children and I'd given up work thinking that would be the solution. I thought if I do that, that'll be rid of the stress, but as we know, it doesn't work like that. So a long story short, I ended up retraining, taking the last 7 to 10 years, really diving into the subconscious mind, energy psychology, positive psychology, and also the holistic, so the mind, body, and emotions, and also spirit as well. So after doing and healing myself really and get myself back into balance. All I was really passionate about was sharing this knowledge that the thought that we have so much control over our physiology, our emotions, and also our actual complete healing that we could actually do mentally, physically, emotionally. And I was a little bit frightened at first. So I didn't jump in to working with women and working with the people that I work with now, because I felt that the way that I would be, I felt as if I would maybe go backwards, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, I do understand that, because it's almost like, you know, if you're then trying to help someone else, it's another pressure on you potentially, that then your thoughts, you have to work with your mind to help the body to be able to cope with that. Is that what you mean? Is that?
It is. And also, I think also because now I know actually, because we're like onions, but it was layers. So essentially, I think there was a deep-rooted sense, and I do know this now, that actually I would go back to burnout if I ended up doing that. So I didn't feel authentic in actually working with women until I knew that I'd done it. So, and also there was a big, massive passion to thinking to myself, if I'd known all of this before, when I was like younger, then I wouldn't have actually probably been here. I would have still had all the experiences, but now I know it's all about regulation, and it's about regulating the emotions. It's not about trying to suppress them or ignore them or anything. It's about regulating them. So I ended up becoming really passionate about building an education system called the Habits of Happiness within the youth sector and schools and colleges and the community. And I created this 7-step process, which is essentially a morning routine which builds in habits, because during my research I realized that we are just essentially made up of habits. Everything that we do, there can be called different things, it can be, and depending on which area you're working in, they'll call them different things, but essentially we are just made up of habits, you know, automatic, unconscious. When they become conscious, they're no longer. We are able to relate to them and we're able to control them. So yeah, so what I ended up doing is developing this course, and I've now gone into, as I say, schools, colleges, and the youth sector, and I'm now just developing a CBT and an accreditation. And over the last couple of months, probably as we went back into lockdown, I actually realised that, so that was 3 years ago, but over the last couple of months, I realised that when I was speaking to clients, but also when I was speaking to other colleagues, I really noticed signs of where I had been 7 years ago, where the language that they were saying to themselves, that they don't have a choice, they can't do it, also the physical things, and they just have to put out with it. And I started to realize that actually that I needed to step up and share my story and also give the tools and techniques, because it's been the foundation of my success of being able to create the Habits of Happiness in the business. It's also helped me within my physical. Now I can run, I'm so much healthier than what I was from 7-8 years ago, but also my relationships with my husband, my children, with other people, it compounds the effect on everything else. It's like a little ripple. It's like a little ripple effect. And so at the beginning of this year, I started making it my mission to start to help other entrepreneurs, small businesses, to prioritize themselves and give them the tools and techniques to be able to do that. So I started a small membership called Take Time Out, to spend each month in building in these foundations, these habits around each area of their life, because it is individual, but awareness is key for that. and compassion and kindness towards ourselves as well.
Yeah, that awareness has got to come first, doesn't it? You don't know what you don't know. So becoming aware of all the different possibilities and then researching what really does fit for you. So for you, it was those habits. And are you okay to share a little bit more about your morning routine? Because that, that's the basis basically of what you do, isn't it? It is very important, setting yourself up for the day.
It is. And what I would say is, like, a lot of people, you can get up at any time. Like when I first started, I had young kids, and so I had to decide that actually I needed to make a difference on myself, because this is one of the things that I've seen, and we know this through psychology and everything else, is the cycle of change. And we often have to wait until we're at breaking point before we will make it. And we have to have that much of a pain point before we will make a decision to change. And what I wanted to do is kind of break that. That's what I wanted to break. So for me, what I realized is that there's a few essential things that can really help our mental, physical, and emotional well-being, and that is positive emotions, because positive emotions can really have this elevating effect on us. And so if we can learn to become more aware of them, because often the brain can put us onto a negative bias a lot of the time, and that's normal. Like I'll just zoom in on all the things that have gone wrong in the day. You might have had a wonderful cup of tea in the morning, you might have had a lovely chat, but if somebody runs in front of you, and then that's then that's all you remember. Or if you had an argument with someone, that could take your whole day. So
I often think about, if you go shopping and you get good service in 9 shops, it's the one that doesn't give you good service that you tell everybody
that's one that you remember. It's like I say that all the time as well. And it's like you might have had a wonderful day, or you're wearing something lovely, and 9 of your friends or 9 people say it's lovely, and one person says, "Oh, I'm not really sure," but that's the one thing that your brain will focus on. So really the morning routine is devised to really help you to start your day the way that you want to, because evidence shows that, like, even from top athletes and anybody who is a high performer, anybody who does anything, they have a morning routine. The first couple of hours is essential. So it doesn't matter if you get up at 6. I mean, there is some evidence saying 6, but if you're not like that, it's your awareness of it. But it's the key about what you do in the first couple of hours in the morning. And our brain will tell us, I'm at the moment where my brain is telling me, just go back to bed, just go back to bed. So we do have to be kind to ourselves while we're doing this. But one of the big things is that it has been shown that how you start your day will essentially influence the rest of your day. It's really one of the big things. I mean, even if you think about yourself, if you get up out like the wrong side of the bed and you're moaning, guarantee that you'll be late, you'll have an argument with your husband or whatever else, and then it'll be one thing after another, and before you know it, you're chasing your tail. So essentially, the morning routine is the simple thing for you to take control over your own kind of morning. It's a lot deeper than that. It's all based in science and research and how actually the systems work. But in essence, the simplicity is how you start your day will essentially rule the rest of your day.
Although we've just had a comment that's from Kirsty, and I hope she don't mind saying, but it's in there saying that she just had to pay a ridiculous £92 for a speed course. So she feels like she's had a bit of a crappy start to the day, and her husband woke her up going to work, so she doesn't feel that she's having a great start. Would you say that even though you have that bad start, you can change your day and your
You can,
day.
yeah.
That's how I would approach things. I'm guessing you're on the same sort of page as me.
I do. Like, so the research that I say, it's all to do with neuroscience, and it's all to do with the reason that I am so passionate about habits is because for us to do self-work, we need to change our neural network. We need to change the neural pathways. There is amazing work that we can get with therapists, with counsellors, with psychotherapists, and they will help. And there is work that can be done. But the only way that we can really do it, it's habitually. That's the only way. Repetition, 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 because that's the way that the brain is. It, like when it fires together, it fires together. So
breaking that pattern then, is important, isn't it? The negativity pattern almost. It's like swinging the dial. If you have a bad start, looking and saying, that was a bad start, but actually my day can start now, and those habits to look for the positive from now on. Perhaps,
And I think, when I was speaking this morning around it, there's always a time. It's challenging when your body goes into fight or flight, and when we have these stressors, that's really what the body is doing, subtly, sometimes more. And so it's really about finding the tools that work for you. And they could be, there's thousands out there. There's thousands out there that could work, but it's about finding the one that works for you at that particular time. So we are essentially, what I think of, is made up of a triad. So we are made up of what we think, what we feel, and also what our bodies are. So our thoughts, our emotions, and then our body, either our physiology or how we actually move, creates a state of being that we're going to be in. And each state, each of these triads, we could have what I call them interrupters. And my morning routine, once they become habitual, you can use any of these because they will be used as a breaker. But as you use them as a morning routine, what it does is, it's like, I was saying this because I'm teaching it just now, it's like, do you know, if you never brush your teeth, you feel like a bit fuzzy. Do you know, you can be okay with it, but actually you go back and you feel nice and clean. So that's what my morning routine feels like. I could go without it, but what happens is I become distorted, and my mind is like all over the place, and then I become a little bit more irritated, and then I become like a little bit all over. But because I've got them, and because it's like you would just go up and brush your teeth if you felt dirty, you would just come down and do your steps. Sometimes it's the 7 steps, and sometimes it's like one of them. And even though it sounds a lot, there's 7 steps, it actually only takes maximum of about 8 minutes. And yeah, it works really well. But essentially, first of all, you really got to know what your morning routine is all about. You know what I mean? And what works for you, and educating yourself around, like, how does that fit into your day? Because I started off being very fixed and saying, okay, because this worked for me, and I was very like, I needed to put this in, and this worked for me to just go on. But what I realize now is people have to actually figure out where their internal dialogue is. I'm going to say the word, and it'll probably trigger people, but excuses around why they can't prioritize themselves.
Yeah, they can be seen as excuses, can't they? We can make those objections in our mind that I know I did,
all the time.
told to meditate, because that would help. I was able to do it cognitively, but I wasn't really doing it embodied. For a long time. It took, until I was like, take the pressure off.
Yeah.
And when it changed. And that is the thing.
Definitely.
Be forced to do something, and we might not. Like, if we find our own way of doing it.
And I also think.
Sorry, I was just going to say, and now I wouldn't intentionally go to meditate for more than 10-20 minutes. I would, because I was being told I needed to meditate 40 minutes, an hour at a time. It felt very forced. Finding your own way with it, and with pain conditions and concentration issues. And being new to it doesn't have to be that long for any of this stuff. As you're saying, it can be those micro moments that matter.
It is, and it's accessing. Do you know what? That is what my morning routine is really about. It educates you that you have control over more than what you think. And I didn't know that. So I have control over my autonomic nervous system. I have control over my thoughts. I have control over my pain. I have control. But it's not like that. And we live in an instant society where we want fix. But it's taken me 40 years to build these habitual thinking, feelings, being to who I am, which is these pain receptors, which is the reactions, which is a perception of these interactions and triggers of subtleties of noise, smell, touch, taste that creates who I am and what I see. So we to expect that we will change, you know, within a day or within a week or whatever, which I did. I expected to, and I still have very hard time because I'm not a patient person. I still have difficulty with that. The one thing that I would say to all the people that are listening, one thing is compassion. Compassion for yourself while you're going through this. You wouldn't ever say to a child, oh, you've not got that first. Do you know, like meditation or even anything, or even self-talk that we say to ourselves, or our beliefs or anything else. These are things that I don't know about you, but I wasn't educated in my school. My mum and dad didn't know. None of my peers knew. You know, it's only after meeting people like yourself that are sharing this into the world of like the bigger world, the wider world, that it's actually common. Before that, it was like it's a secret. Only certain people knew how to manage their emotions and self-regulate. You know, I felt like I was this strange person that would just go off on one and then feel as if I was on a roller coaster and then
yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Yeah, even, you know, knowing whether it was normal or not, you know, we sort of felt out of place. You know, we didn't fit in. We weren't, you know, those, you know, sort of normal people that could stop getting angry or not, you know, as Kirsty's just commented, you know, holding on to that stuff during the day, you know, that's really quite normal. You know, we all have come from that place, you know, and learning to let go is a big part of this, isn't it? It's like, you know, learning we can change, and it is just habits.
It is. And it's also just getting to know you, because it's so hard as well, because I mean, I was horrible to myself. And so I didn't really want to be by myself. Do you know, like in my own thoughts, some of them I knew I could hear myself saying, oh God, you're so stupid, why are you so that? Comparison, all of these things. But then as I started to heal deeper and deeper, I realized actually that there was other wounds inside there. Like there's different parts of us that are needing to get certain things from us, and only you can do it. You know, we can get facilitated by therapists, by coaches, by helping others, by friends, but really the only expert is you. And that is the hardest, because from nearly being born, we get told what to do. We get told and put into a system where you need to do this, you should do that, this and this, and we're in this system to have to say, actually, what do I need? What is it that I want? Who am I? You know, it's the biggest challenge that we have. And yeah, I go back to it all the time. Be compassionate and kind while we're going through this journey.
This wasn't one of our planned questions, but I'm just wondering what you think about, you know, like how the systems, you know, how compassionate are our systems, like the schooling system? You're working with children and youth, you know, is it the systems that need to change as well? You know, it's not just us. You know, we can do a lot of the work ourselves, but systems and processes and organisations that are out there that really aren't set up to help people to learn to be compassionate or learn how to look after themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably why I went through the systems and the school systems. And my partner who I work with, she is so passionate about completely changing the shift in the systems, because she's done a lot of research on how children, she's a teacher, how children learn better and how they actually can get the best out of it. The way that we learn is not, and especially now because there is so much neurodiversity in the world, you know, that the one system of all learning the same way and the same can actually have a detrimental effect on our growth. And then as adults, all we're doing is peeling all of it back. So I definitely think that we're heading in the right direction, but there's a lot of work to be done still. Because there is still a lot of old beliefs around institutionalizing. Just there's a lot of different feeling that this is what we call soft, you know, like it's soft work, you know, being compassionate and doing like kind work. But the new research on trauma and trauma informed and what it does to the body, and how not only people who have got ACEs, but everybody has these slight neuro receptors that affect the way that we interact. So if we can have this overall compassion and look at the world at a different way, perspective, I feel, maybe I live in La La Land, but I feel that it would make a massive difference, because I know that it's made a massive difference in the relationship with my husband, with my family, with everyone that I work around, you know.
I would second that, because, you know, the work that I've done over the years on myself, and then, you know, the studying and everything, my son has, you know, is neurodiverse, if, you know, we want to use that term. And in school, it wasn't set up, you know, there was too much restriction, but not restriction to help him. You know, it was like he liked the, you know, planned day, the routine day, but there was so much other restriction that did not fit. College was easier. It was a little bit less restricted. Now he's out of college and finding his own way. And by helping him to, you know, find his way rather than the way that we're told, you know, the way that is designed by systems, really does make a difference. And, you know, so I see what you mean. You know, if schools were teaching in different ways as well, you know, that would help children to learn more about their own needs and their self-care at a younger age. It would make such a big difference.
In Scotland, we actually have a thing called Curriculum for Excellence, but it's still, and it's an amazing curriculum, but there's so many institutionalized systems within that they've not actually been able to grow that, because one of the core aspects of it is emotional, mental and spiritual well-being. So that is what they're supposed to put in the foundation, but they're still so concerned about ticking boxes and how it is. And it's a lot of pressure. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of pressure on teachers. And I mean, I'm working with teachers for their mental health at the moment. Do you know?
I used to do that, yeah. And I was going to say, in England, there's a similar sort of thing with PSHE, which is personal, social, emotional health development. And I used to teach on that curriculum 13 years ago for mental health for young people. And, you know, their curriculum for that mental health were suicide prevention and eating disorders. And yet, you know, where's, you know, yes, they're important issues, but actually it's just such a more wide, you know, curriculum that's needed as well, isn't it?
I know. And I do feel that what they miss out on is everything is in the intellectual and understanding, but that's not where actual stress and anxiety lies. Most of the time it lies in the body and it lies in the emotions, but they don't kind of tell you like the facts that are happening. Like
no learning without the doing.
Exactly. And even just understanding, I mean, in Scotland there's a few, it's not like throughout, and this is where I would like it, where it's like throughout each school, each like individual
authority,
they all have some, it depends, it's like a postcode lottery. If you're in the right postcode, you may end up with some real great emotional intelligence, regulation, mindfulness, whatever, some teachings around how you can navigate through these times in your life. Other ones, nothing at all. Nothing at all. Not even one mindfulness session around, well, here, if you quiet, listen to your, I'm not saying that mindfulness is the be all and end out, but it's an access in with one, maybe something. But,
that's it. For someone, that might be the be all and end all. It might be the thing that changes the rest of their life, even. It can be that, it's huge, can't it? So when we're thinking about systems and things, then it's like the school system could do with having a bit of a shake up, but it is getting there. Same with our health systems, isn't it? With this, sort of, mind and body separate. We have different hospitals for physical to emotional problems, and yet we're one being. Where does that fit?
It is challenging, but I think that I do think it is heading in the right direction. There will always be people and doctors and GPs and other people that still think on each department and each issue being separate. As in, if you've got a headache, then take a headache tablet. It might not be. It might be that you've got muscle disorders. It could be that you're feeling tense within your mental. It could be that you may be feeling emotionally drained. It could be your digestive system. We have like 3 brains. We have the gut brain, we have the heart brain, and we have our own brain. And I think that everything takes so long for it to come to the forefront of like normality. You'll know yourself around, even I was speaking to someone today about CBT, and CBT has been around for years. But
1950s, Aaron Beck first wrote cognitive therapy.
And now it's suddenly this new CBT. It's like, no, it's taken that long. So I hope that the whole holistic view and taking in like energy psychology, positive psychology, taking in our normal psychology of our own health, but within the system, that will become the norm when you go to a doctor. They don't just say, like, stick a plaster on it. I think that's the way that we've kind of went, instead of going to the root, because the root's hard. The root is hard,
And it takes a little bit longer sometimes, doesn't it? Embedded, and to see the changes over time. They don't, it's not like a quick change. It's like a drip feed over time. And our health systems are very much regulated by that financial thing of we need to get a quick result because that's money. Time is money. And how much does it cost for our health? How much is it costing our health not to give it time?
I know. And I think also the fact is that a lot of the time, doctors, especially GPs, they don't get the education in the holistic approach. They only get a half a day for nutrition at all.
They get 2 lectures on mental health. I used to go sit with the psychiatrist in this area, and they've covered all mental health disorders. One day was the common mental health disorders, which are Axis 2, and then Axis 3 personality disorders, psychosis, that sort of thing, on day 2. I was astounded. I came out of those lectures, I said, it took me 5 years to go through that.
I know.
And
considering that
days, and these people are, then talking to majority of the population at some point in their life.
I know, and considering that it shows now that the increase in mental health in people, has just increased so much, especially over COVID. You would think that they would adjust it, but I don't think they have, even over the last 2 years in the new intake within it. Doctors themselves are starting to take on these additional trainings, etc., because I know quite a few that have taken on and done mindfulness courses and even EFT and also EMDR and, you know, all these different things.
There were a number at a conference over the weekend that I was at, which was the Chronic Pain Conference SERPA organised, and it was looking at the research, you know, the latest research, and this research goes back over 20 years to say that we can overcome chronic pain and physical symptoms that are stress illnesses via, you know, learning about our emotions and, you know, having some things in place to look after ourselves. Yeah, you know, there were so many doctors there that paid for themselves to go on this, you know, conference over the weekend because it's not within their CPD allowance. It was just like, this is chronic pain. You know, 20% of the population, at very least, probably more like 50% of.
I would believe more. It's just so you just put it down to the habitual thinking. So, you know, that's what it is. that's what they say within it. But what I would say is the simple things that we can do, because I think that when it comes to self-care, for me, a lot of us think on the physical, and it is important. You know, the physical is so what we eat, how we exercise, the communication that we have with other people, even like the nice things like going for a spa day or, you know, having a bath, or these are physical things that we can do, but often they're a bit like they only do the surface layer with it. And the self-care that I really am passionate about is building the foundations, because the foundations come from our beliefs around what self-care is and what we think and what we feel is appropriate. And as women especially, sorry the men are here, but I'll say women just because I can only say for myself because I am a woman, I have a sister and a mum, but hereditary and for really historically in my belief systems that we were to do it all, and if we didn't, then I wasn't a good mum, I wasn't a good wife, I wasn't a good friend, do you know. And even though there wasn't the statements, and sometimes there was actually statements saying that to my face that you're not a good mum or a wife if you do that. So sometimes it is, but even now that I have it, there is this subtle beliefs. There's these generational beliefs. There's these really
societal thing, isn't it? A cultural belief that we should do it all and should. I hate the word, you know.
Yeah.
Like to be able to, it's not possible.
It is, but it's not always in our control, which, you know, people will say, bang on, but it is key to have compassion while we're going through this, because I consciously knew exactly that this is too much, but my body and my emotions were filled with guilt, shame, you know, memories of that. And now with the science of epigenetics of generational, you know, like that is to do with how we feel and the traumas of how our parents thought about how we should be as a mum, a wife, a supporter. And depending on how you've been brought up, you know, like, I will say it, my sister might mind, but she really feels as if she has no choice. And I forgot about how I felt like that, because I've been doing this work for so long. But she actually said to me, I don't have a choice, Samantha. I said, so do you want to feel this? She's like, no, but I don't have a choice. That's how I feel. That's just the way I am. And, you know, so many people believe this. And as like business owners, as entrepreneurs, and especially like with us and who your clients are with suffering from pain, we have this maybe conscious and intellectual understanding that we can do something, and if we're aware of our thoughts, but our bodies have had these memories and they haven't let go of them because we don't get shown how to let go of the memories that are in ourselves. So just repeat. So we need to be able to be kind to ourselves while we're going through this process and understand that we are holistic. So body treatments is one of them, psychological treatment and emotional treatments are all self-care, and understanding which one fits for you is really key, because depending on what's happened in your life, then I can't say to you, go and meditate, go and take this music. You know, science is wonderful and research is wonderful, but they're not you. They're not you. So only you.
Based on averages.
Yes, they are. And and I keep go back to that, but you're the expert. We can say, like, Tina and I can say to you, right, okay, we know statistically, we know that this works, and if you do these tools, but actually you need to be the experiment of you. That's what I've been, that's what Tina's been. You know, we've went and looked at other experts, and that's why we get it, and we've been educated, but actually the work comes from the expertise of ourselves. And I would say that's probably the most challenging one, you know, because it's hard to take responsibility. That was the hardest, because I needed to take full responsibility of my own health. I had always given it out, but actually it's so empowering, because I used to give it out to, unknowingly, to my husband, to my past, to my bullies, to my work, to, you know, the stress, to the government, to everyone else, you know, that was causing all this. And then I had to take full responsibility and say, I can't control them. I cannot control them, but what can I control inside my system? What can I think, feel, be? What can I let go of? Like what you were saying at the beginning, you know? Yeah. I keep saying it, but please be gentle with yourself, because I teach this, but the automatic thing is that we judge ourselves. No matter what, we just go straight back to judging ourselves. So,
but remembering that judging yourself is a habit that you've learned.
Yes,
I'm following it. You can do something about that too. So
yes, you definitely.
It's like, you know, whatever we do is, you know, if we've learned it one way, we can learn it a different way.
And that's what I love. Honestly, all the things that have caused us, this is what I always say, all the things that have got us here, all the things that your mind is racing away, your anxiety, your stress, they're all being caused by the way the that was easy for me. The habitual thinking, feeling, processing, we can use that and the opposite, because it's exactly the same that we do if we think differently every single day. We are differently. We change the chemistry, the biology, and everything else. It works.
The brain actually changes shape as we do
yes,
it. So
it does. Different parts light up.
And it's fantastic. It's it. I get so excited about, you know, seeing fMRI scans lit up where they weren't lit up before. So, you know, what piece of advice, Sam, what would you give to your younger self? Because so often we know what we would say now, and we do regularly say it to ourselves now, you know, to give ourselves that bit of compassion or motivation on tough days or whatever. But what would you say to yourself before you knew all this?
I would say that you are perfect the way you are. Absolutely perfect. There's nothing that needs to be changed at all. You're perfect the way you are, and believe that. That's what I would say. I would say all the other things that you said there, like be kind to yourself, be compassionate to yourself, don't compare yourself to anyone else. You're absolutely unique. But essentially, we are all perfect. We are all perfect, and we have everything that we need. I mean, it's amazing. Our bodies have absolutely everything that we possibly need to survive within this world. So yeah, I would say that, because and I would say to believe it as well, you know, because we just find it so hard to take that as a truth. You know, and that is what is essential, is our belief. If we believe something, that is the thing that actually sends a catalyst of all the other things. the belief about something, the belief whether or not we can heal ourselves, whether we can achieve something, whether we can or we should do something, changes the whole like catalyst of how and what we see and what the things that we do. So yeah, I would say to essentially believe that you are perfect the way you are. Because it's all the imperfect thing that we think ourselves that really causes us a pain. Comparison.
Yeah.
So
that's absolutely perfect. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you or find out a bit more about what you do, how do they go about that, Sam?
So at the moment, I have a group called Happy You, Happy Life, because I feel like if you're happy, then your life is happy, because that essentially goes on that. And I have a website, which is the habitsofhappinesscoaching.com. And in there, there's freebies there. I also have my new membership, which is Take Time Out, and I am just launching next month a beta course, actually. So if anybody wants it, I've not even got it yet, but it's a beta course. It is for female entrepreneurs, so sorry, but it is, and it's all about really building in essentially the foundations and the tools and techniques on how to bring balance back into your life on there. And I've also got a freebie on starting your day in the morning on self-care, if anybody wants that as well.
Brilliant. So are you happy to drop the links below?
Yeah. I will. As soon as I come off here, I will drop all the links. And I'll just put beta course if anybody. I'm just testing the water at the moment for it. So to see if it's what I'm kind of wanting to see all the stuff that's helped me over the last 5 years to see if it'll help you. Essentially, it's the foundations of a 7-step coaching process, but well, a bit of twist.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Samantha. It's been lovely talking to you. And I hope... Sorry?
I said I love speaking to you as well. It's so lovely I feel as if that when I have around like-minded people, and especially creating this self-care, that there is a shift, a change in the way that we view self-care, the way that we can take control of our own health and well-being. It really fills me up.
So yeah, we're both on a similar mission to get out there and make sure people have those happier lives, and without the negativity of pain and negative emotions. But thank you again. Thank you so much for being here. Do look out for the links underneath for, if you want to contact Samantha, and we will be back. Let me just double check the time. I think it's 2:00 with Yvonne Phillip, and she'll be talking about self-care, style and strategy. So look forward to seeing you again later, and thank you, and we will catch up again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Just got to find the right button. I think that one stopped. Thanks. Oh, how do you think it went? Was it?
Yeah, I mean,